A little while ago I was contacted by Cetus3D. They produce small desktop 3D printers for the main public. They are not too expensive and they are pretty fun and easy to use, and they asked me to do a little review on their printers and show you guys what you can actually do with these. Now, I mentioned straight at the beginning to them that this is not ideal for the work that I do with the modeling that I do and the specific model cars and scale of parts that I would want to do. They said no problem, just show what you can do and what you can use for scale modeling in your section, and go ahead and produce that video. So here we go. So after receiving the printer, I asked you guys on the social section on YouTube what you wanted me to print out. Now, I mentioned that it wasn't ideal for small details and super tiny stuff, and the first couple of comments were, of course, that I should print small details and tiny stuff, and also the assumption was made that I'm a genius at 3D modeling somehow. Turns out I'm not, so I just went onto Thingiverse and downloaded a couple of files according to some of the suggestions you guys left. So first off, as you know, I really like props and I enjoy the shape of guns, so I found a 1911 3D model and printed that out. Now, of course, it's a lot smaller than it is actually supposed to be, but overall it looks really good. Now, this is a filament printer and not a resin printer, so the layer lines are pretty well there, I'd say, but it does capture a lot of the smaller details. Now, it does have to do with the orientation of the print. Like, let's say you print it like this, the layer lines will be different. If you do it like this, it will be different, and there will be supports down here and stuff like that. So that is something you would need to play with and experience yourself. So even though I mentioned that the smaller detail stuff wasn't really something these printers could do really well, I still got a couple of suggestions to print out some wheels. So I took that suggestion to heart and printed some TE37 wheels. Now, as you can see, it does have a lot of really thick lines, as this isn't, of course, what it is supposed to do, and the details are way too small. But overall, in general, it does really capture the shape a lot, and it is a convincing piece, but pretty much non-usable. Now, this piece is obviously cleaned up a bit, and originally it came out like this, with a lot of the support material in it, and left in it as well, so that the spokes don't just drop in, and it's printing into thin air. One of the other suggestions I got was to print some ramps for the cars to stand up to, as if you're supposed to be working on them, or sort of diorama style, I guess. Now, this is one of the things it can do. It does capture general shape really well. However, it does need a lot of cleanup. Now, that is to be expected. It does print it pretty quickly. I think this took about 20 minutes, and you have your general shape, a bit of cleaning, bit of sanding, maybe some primer and some filler, and you pretty much have your part. And keeping in the diorama theme, someone asked to print some oil barrels. Now, this again is a really convincing piece and something that this printer can do pretty well. The detail on the top is a bit harder, as it's a pretty flat section and it does need to fill it in somehow, but on most of these printers that's really hard to do, and therefore again it's not ideal, but it can be used for stuff like this. And of course, the wide body comment was posted a lot as well. Now, I found a couple of over fenders, as again, the smaller they get, the less detail that can be captured. So I figured I'd print it a bit thicker and a bit bigger as well, just to show a couple of the details and to show that if you go up in size in scale, it can print some really nice, cool things. And again, with a lot of general detailing and cleaning up, it can achieve a pretty cool prop, or whatever you want, of course. Also to mention, this is of course some support material, same on the side, and the general part is just this piece here. Now, to continue in the overscale parts and pieces, someone asked to print a radiator. I did that as well. It did warp a bit, as it doesn't really have any bite onto the print platform. So I asked Cetus3D what can be done about this, and they said they have an upgrade kit for a heated print bed that should just fix this a bit. I will leave links in the description down below to the printer itself, that heated bed of course, and the upgrade kit, and also a discount code for you guys if you wanted to actually buy this printer. And the final suggestion I tried out was to actually print a couple of logos from Porsche, and Ferrari as well. Now these are pretty much the best prints I have done on this printer. They are pretty big and also captured a lot of the detail, as you can see. Still, again, on those flat spots it's not ideal, but the general shape is there. So in general, would I advise this printer? Well, yes, it's pretty fun. It's not too expensive. But then again, for the main model builder and printing some accessory parts, it's not ideal. Though as a functional printer to print some replacement parts for actual hinges or even doorknobs or small stuff like that, this is exactly what you would want to use. The parts are seriously strong. Even a thin part like this, you can bend it pretty well all over the place without it snapping in two, and therefore it can handle a bit of weight as well. Now, for the parts that I would want to use it for, like wheels, maybe even some bumpers, smaller detail stuff for on the interior, seats, steering wheels, stuff like that, no, it's not ideal, but I knew that in advance, so it's not a big problem. It was still fun to get into the 3D printing stuff on a pretty small budget. In my case, I got it for free, of course, to show you guys, but then again, for one of you, it is obtainable. Now let's say that I'd want to build one of these, but then a bit bigger, or maybe even a video game prop, but then just size it up to twice or 3 times this size, then it is a pretty good base to use. It's quick to do and print all of the smaller parts, and with the parts being a lot bigger, it's a lot easier to just fill up all these print lines with a bit of filler, some sanding, and some primer, and then of course you can build your own prop. Now maybe in the future I will try and do that on this printer, but for now I'm not too sure. So if you somehow got inspired by this video to want to buy your own, I will again leave a link in the description, and you can also use this discount code to get a nice couple % off your order. Anytime you have questions about this, feel free to contact Cetus. They are really quick, really friendly people and answer your questions without any hesitation, and super fast as well. So that's it for me on 3D printing. This is my first leap into the 3D printing world, and I'm really enjoying it so far. I'm going to be looking into some resin printers. Maybe if you guys know a couple of other companies that want to work together with 3D printing, but then in the resin stuff, feel free to contact me below. But for now, until next time, I'll see you later.